Tonight I wanted to talk about the game called ZèRTZ. So ZèRTZ is capture game, and it's a game of the GIPF project. The GIPF project is a series of 7 abstract strategy games designed by Chris Byrne, and ZèRTZ is probably the best of the 7 games. I wanted to talk about this game because I played it recently. I don't remember which one it was, but it was in the World Cup of abstract games by national teams. I discovered the game. Well, I knew that the ZèRTZ exists, but it was the first time I played it, and I recently studied the game a little, and I wanted to make a review about that. So let's start with the rules. So in ZèRTZ, as you can see, so you have an hexagonal board, okay, and you have some black pieces, some gray pieces, and some white pieces, okay. Each turn, you're gonna place one of this ball on the board. Let's say you play, let's say this, and you remove a circle which is okay, not in the middle, on the side. Okay, so for instance, you can remove this one. Okay, and then it's your opponent to play. He could play this. You cannot remove this circle because you need that it's possible to remove it without moving the other piece. So if you want to remove this one, you first need to remove one of these two. So for instance, you can remove this. Okay. Okay, so this is the part where you just add some pieces. Okay. But you have another way you can move. It's when you capture. You can capture. So for instance, if you have this and you remove that, the next player will have the choice if he wants to capture like this or if he wants to capture like this. So let's say I'm gonna capture the white, so the player is gonna play this, and okay, here as you can see, I captured the white piece. And when you make a capture like this, you don't remove a circle. Also, it's possible to capture multiple times in a row. So for instance, if we are like this and it's me to play, I can play this, I capture this, and I play also this, I capture that. Okay? And I don't remove a circle when I make a capture. So now, just what is the goal of the game? The goal of the game is here. You win if you capture 4 white or 5 gray or 6 black, or 3 of each. If you take 3 white, 3 gray, 3 black, you win. Or 6 black, or 5 gray, or 4 white. I think it's almost everything with the rules, but you need to know just 2 more things, I guess. If you can make a capture, you need to do it. And you cannot stop during capture. You need to take everything you can. And also, there is another way you can make the capture. It's by isolation. So let me show you the stuff. Let's say we do this, someone's playing, let's say that, and okay, it's just to show something. In this position, if you play there and you remove this one, as you can see, you have here an island which is fully occupied. Then you capture everything which is there. If you have multiple pieces, you capture everything. When it's the same here in the board, if there is a moment where it won't happen, but let's say everything is fully occupied, then you capture everything. So when you have an island which is fully occupied, you capture everything. Okay. So of course, the thing which is interesting with this game is, of course, the fact that you are forced to capture. So it's like draft, you know. It's like when you can capture, you need to do it. And so this is how you can control what your opponent gonna do. You can feed him to give him, let's say, for instance, some black. If you think, but you of course gonna stop after 5 black or something, and you try to get 4 white, for instance. I will show some example. So, of course, in this game, white are really interesting because you need only 4 to win the game. Okay, so if you can capture 4 white, the game is over. You won. So capturing white are of course interesting. At start, you're gonna focus on this. Okay. At the beginning of the game, if we talk just a little about openings, because I don't know a lot about openings, but it's like you don't need to know a lot of stuff. Basically, in the opening, you will try to be safe, not giving some threat to your opponent, so that you have absolutely no risk, okay? Because you know that your opponent can force you to make some capture you don't want to do, and then he will capture maybe more or some more interesting color balls, okay? So this is how the game goes. One thing we can say, the game is a capture game, but in a certain sense, it's also a parity game. Why? Because you are sharing everything. As you can see, it's not a capture game like, for instance, chess. In chess, you have a player with the white pieces and a player with the black pieces, and white piece is going to capture black pieces, black piece is going to capture white pieces, and if you're the white player, you move only the white pieces, and that's it, okay? So here, you are sharing everything. We can remove the circles, but I don't have some circles which are mine and some circles which are for the opponent. We are sharing all the circles. And the same for the balls. You can play one of each, and it's not like, these ones are for me and on the top it's for my opponent. No, we are sharing absolutely everything. So, of course, there is a question of parity. For instance, you can imagine that during the start, the players are playing really safe. Let's say something, really safe. You don't want to create some threat for your opponent. But okay, but quickly the board will be okay. And quickly there is a moment where a player will have to play something that's gonna create some interesting move. So it's like you try to arrive in a moment where the priority will be on your side and your opponent will have to make a bad move. It's like even his best move is still bad. Okay, so this is why you have a notion of priority, and basically this gonna happen in the early game. You try to don't give any threat to your opponent. Your opponent try the same, but there is a moment where you're forced to do something, and that's gonna give a threat to your opponent, and so on. Okay. And remember also that each time you put a ball like this, you also reduce the board. Okay, so you need to reduce the board. Okay, so now why I think this game is still something nice. It's, to be honest, because of the ending, and also we can say that we arrive like quickly in some position where you have some tactical moves to find. It's really quick. Also remember that the board gonna reduce. So really fast, you're gonna have some tactics, and in the end, it's pretty nice. It's like, you can since your opponent is forced to take when he can, you can sacrifice 5 black, 4 gray. Okay, you can sacrifice a lot, and even 2 white, to capture 4 white, okay? Because with 5 black, 4 gray, and 2 white, you don't win, okay? Because it's 6 black, it's 5 gray, it's 4 white, and it's 3 of each. So you can give until 5 black, 4 gray, 2 white to your opponent. You can force him to make a lot of captures. So maybe in the end, you're going to capture just 4 white, and that's it, you won. This is the beauty of ZERTZ. Okay, now I guess we're gonna try to talk about some shapes and some interesting tactics that I'm gonna show. So first, the first shape you need to know is called telescope. It's, for instance, if we are in this position. Okay, in this position, you can make an exchange quite easily. It would be even better if I do something like this. Okay, you can make an exchange so that you're gonna capture one of these 2 balls, and your opponent gonna capture also something. So let's see. For instance, since you want to capture the white, you could play something like this. You play here, you remove this so that the white cannot capture both. Okay, so your opponent will have to capture this one, and then you can capture the white. Okay, so in a line like this, it's called telescope. You have also some telescope where you can choose which color you want to capture. It's when you have something like this. When you have something like this, you can choose the color you want, because you can play the white here and remove this one. So this time the white wasn't there, you put it on the board, your opponent have to take, and you take back. And finally you got 1 white. Remember that 4 white is enough to win. Okay. You have also another shape which is really interesting, is the gun. So the gun is quite similar to telescope, but it's not in a row. So it's for instance, let's say something like this. So here, if I play, this move, remove it's a white, the opponent will have to take there, and then I'm gonna take the white. Okay. So this is basically. Then we're gonna see how you can extend all of this, which is really interesting. And we have the C. This, if you have this, if you play there, you're gonna capture right. Okay, your opponent will have to take, and then you take white. So these are the 3 basic patterns. You have the telescope, the gun, and the C. And all of this can extend. It's like, okay, you create something to take multiple. For instance, we're going to try to extend, let's say we're going to try to extend this last one, the C. Okay, so for instance, we are here, but let's imagine you have another piece, let's say here. Okay, then you can play here. Your opponent will have to take one of these 2, let's say there, and then 1, 2, you take 2 whites. Okay, but now you can imagine that it's not directly like this. Okay, it could be, for instance, like this. But then see what you can do. You can play this and remove that. Your opponent will be forced to take, and then you play here, and finally you will have to do this, and you can take 2 whites. Okay, and now you can imagine something like, okay, let's imagine we are like this. It's the same. I can play here. My opponent will be forced to take. Now I can play here. My opponent will be forced to take. Now I can play here and remove this. My opponent will be forced to take. Now I put a gray. And I'm taking the 2 whites. So of course, you gave him 4 pieces. It could be 3 black and 1 gray. It could be 2 gray and 2 black, I don't know, to capture 2 whites. If you already capture 2 whites before all of this, you directly win. But you can also say, okay, I'm just playing this because I want 2 whites, because now I just need 2 balls to win. For instance, to win with black, even with 3, he still needs 3. Okay? So this is basically how the game is played. You have a lot of stuff like this. So for instance, let's build something like I don't know. Let's build something like this. Okay. So here you could imagine again, you could imagine that you want to capture some whites. So let's say that you need to capture some whites, but as you can see, whites are not on the board. We're gonna try to make this capture. Well, let's imagine. Could play this. Could play there. Okay. And then, okay, so we could imagine something like this for the puzzle. I don't know. Let's say we have something like this. And let's say you want to capture 2 white. Let's say you have 2 white and you want to capture 2 white. We can pause the video and try to solve this. So let's see if I didn't miss something. So let's say I'm playing this and I remove that. The opponent will have to take. Now I'm placing here, and it's like I don't care. I remove this. My opponent will have to take. Now I play a white and I remove this. My opponent will have to take. And now I'm taking 2 whites and I won the game. Okay, so as you can see, you have some really nice tactics. It could be in the end, but it's like the ending. Oh, some stuff about ending arrive quite a lot, and then it's like you're again almost at the beginning, because if you capture, well, here we capture already 7 pieces. So of course, if you capture 7 pieces, you free the space. So it's like you return like in the opening, and you can go again in the ending, and you return in the opening, and so on until someone just gonna win. It's pretty nice to have this aspect in the game. It's like, but well, it's a game which is really tactic, but like a lot. It's not so, it's not so strategic. It's not like in chess you have some positional situation, some strategic aspect, like my bishop is really nice on this square. I don't know, if I control the big diagonal, it's really good or something. Well, here it's more like you're directly in the tactic, but also it's like compared to chess, it's not. So sometimes in chess you're like, okay, it's just gonna be a draw. All of this is draw. It's like I cannot do anything. Well, here you won't have a draw. It's like okay, but Someone's just gonna win this. Also, I wanted to show maybe something with the isolation. So maybe let's say we're like this, and your goal is to, let's say, well, let's say like this. And your goal, okay, let's say it's you to play, and your goal is to capture 2 white. You need to capture 2 white. Let's say you have already 2 whites, and you want to capture 2 more whites to win. You can do it using isolation. Okay, so you can play here, remove this. Your opponent will have to take there, and then you add a white here and you remove this one. And by isolation, because this island is fully occupied, you capture both. And again, you won. So you have also some tactics with the isolation, which is really nice. Well, that's almost everything I wanted to show. Something I would say also is usually when you start to see something, it's like you can build it. If it's not here, you can just build it, giving some balls to your opponent. Remember that you can give a lot. So if you want to create something, usually you can. It's like you can create stuff. Okay, I don't know. Let's say you have a ball there. Just imagine that for your combination, you would like, let's say, a white somewhere like this. Okay, but you can create a white here quite easily. You can play here. Your opponent will have to take there. Okay, and then you play a white here. Your opponent will have to take there, and you have your white here. So it's like usually when you try to solve something, you are thinking like, okay, what do I want? I would like white here, and I would like also a black there. Okay, just give some pieces to your opponent to create the situation. Usually it's possible. It's like you have the possibilities to create what you want, but it costs some balls to your opponent. So if you can give something to obtain your win, just do it. And this is how you play this. Okay. And to finish this video, if I would give my personal thinking on the game, I would say the game is pretty cool and really tactical. The tactics are really nice, really, really nice. You can do a lot of stuff. You have some patterns that comes, and you have also this notion of isolation, which can be bring back in the game, because remember that you remove a ring uh, at each move. Well, except when you capture, but so you reduce this board quite a lot, and you arrive to some really spatial position. You have a lot of tactics that are possible. Remember that I show this. In this position, you can capture 2 white. See, the whites are really, really far, but you can capture 2 white in this position. Remember, you play this, your opponent will have to capture. You play this, your opponent will have to capture. You play this and remove that, your opponent will have to capture. And then you play this, and your opponent will have to capture here or here. And then you capture your 2 whites. So you can force a lot of things, even when the balls are quite far from each other. That's pretty cool. I would say the game is really, really cool. If I would give a weakness, it's probably the fact that the game could be more strategical also. It's at least my level, what I understand in the game, it's really hard to feel what you need to do um, in the early game. Like now, okay, what is a good move? I don't know. Is this a good move? Is you don't have any, you don't know. Well, if you take chess as example, it's like if you're white, if you play e4, it seems better than e3, okay? Because you take more space, you give more opportunities to your pieces, okay? So you have some notions like this. Here, you absolutely don't know. Since you are sharing everything with your opponent, it's only a question of parity. It's like, I don't know if this is a good or a bad move. I don't know. It's like after playing, there is a moment where the parity will say, okay, the opponent have the good street or I have the good street, but you don't really know what to do in the early game. The nice part is, I would say that quite fast, you're not in the early game anymore. Remember that with three balls like this, after three moves, imagine this is the moves. After three moves, you have the possibility to capture two whites, which is amazing. Okay, so it's gonna be a lot of tactics, like a lot of tactics. If you like tactics, you're gonna, of course, love them, love Zertz, um, and that's it. I think the ending is really really nice, um, and maybe the weakness of the game is the early game, but it's only a small part of the game. And you have also these ideas of the isolations, which are really nice. So, well, the fact, of course, that when you can capture, you need to do it is, of course, the key of the game. If you remove this, the game is stupid. But it's exactly like in draft. You have some games that are based on the capture. When you can take, you need to take, and this is all the game is in this idea, of course. Well, I hope you like the video and you gonna try to give a try to Zertz. Well, see you guys. Bye bye.